Café and Networking Podcast promotes entrepreneurs, startups, authors, business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, an American known as the King of Networking, connecting people and speaking from my studio in Vinhedo, São Paulo, Brazil. And today we talk with Dave Combs, and he's joining us from Winston Salem, North Carolina in the United States. Dave Combs is a songwriter, photographer, entrepreneur, and author with 4 decades of experience, writing over 120 songs, creating 14 albums of soothing, relaxing, instrumental piano music. His songwriting began with the now popular standard Rachel's Song. His soothing and relaxing music has been played millions of times worldwide. Dave, besides being a musician, you're a business person. What advice do you have for other entrepreneurs starting out or looking to pivot?
Well, let me just basically tell my story of kind of the steps that I followed, which I can't say that I really had them all laid out in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to begin with, but I learned as I went along. The first thing I think any entrepreneur has to do is to come up with either a quality product or a service. Right. You have to have something that is really, really good. So you make sure that whatever you have is as good as you can make it. And then once you have your product or service or whatever it is you want to build into a business, you need to determine who are your potential customers, who would be interested in purchasing whatever it is you're selling, whether it's music or a product or a service. So you need to kind of really think that through and do some exploring, some research and whatever. And then once you know who those people are, where are they? Determine where they are and how you can get to them. Because unless you can reach them, it really doesn't do you much good. And today we have lots of tools to do that, like just like what we're doing today through a podcast or through any of your online Facebook, your social media, that kind of thing. Or maybe it is the old bricks and mortar, I call it shoe leather marketing. You can walk around and go see people.
Knock on the door, right?
Yeah, or knock on their doors, right. So you determine where they are, and then as importantly, how can you reach them? What are the many different ways? And make your list. Open up your mind and just brainstorm it. And then once you've got that, then what you need to do is find a way to model your business idea on a small scale. In other words, you need to find think of it as a prototype. I've got to either make this one customer really work well, or this one channel or one thing that you're doing, work it out, get all the kinks out on a small scale, and don't just dream and hope that it works. Keep track of the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Right. So if you keep track of your expenses and your income, and if the expenses are less than the income, you're probably on the right track.
Right.
So make sure you model it on a small scale, and then try it out. And if it works, then the last step that I did, and we can talk about how I did that, but you duplicate it. You take this small working model, and you just work your tail off duplicating that everywhere you could possibly do it. And that's exactly what I did with my music. I found a way to sell it through gift shops, playing and selling my music. I had one gift shop that sold thousands of copies of my music. I said, wow, I got to do a lot of that. I eventually duplicated that to over 1,000 gift shops across the United States that played and sold my music. And I made a very good living doing that. So that's kind of in a nutshell, the entrepreneurial story of my music.
Well, the point just for our audience, which is global, when you're saying you were selling at a gift shop, you were selling the printed form of music, right? People would go in and buy the sheets, the music sheets.
Well, and the CDs. And the back CDs, then it was, okay. And even earlier than that, it was cassette tapes.
Aha, I remember that.
Today, of course, we have online and this this thumb drive here can hold this can hold my entire collection of 14 albums right on this little piece of hardware here.
Right.
So times have changed dramatically, but the principles I don't think have changed. You still need to go through those same steps that I talked about.
Well, I agree with you, and times change and things change. Relaxing music can change. But what we do need today, and what you offer, is to relax once in a while.
Yes.
And people are out there, and not only what you do, but how you do it. And those steps which you mentioned, they're classic.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they're simple. They're actually
No.
complex. But if you don't get out of your chair and do it, it doesn't go anywhere.
Exactly. I think the key word is action. You have to take action.
Right.
And it probably is more than just action. It's not random action. It is a very deliberate, studied, researched, thought through action is basically what it is.
Well, I like what you said about gift shops. You're really focused because you can, I can sell anywhere, yes, but you have to sell somewhere. And getting that feedback from what you said, it's the prototype. And once it starts working, duplicate it, replicate it, and keep doing it.
Exactly. And that works. It still works, I think, for any kind of product or service or business that you're trying to start.
No, and what you also mentioned is reach. Because when you first contacted me about being a guest, you spoke about how well your music is received here in Brazil. And it's on the top charts in Spotify and others.
Yes.
And it's one of the most listened to.
Yes. In fact, I noticed this morning on the Spotify playlist, it's on the Hinos CCB piano channel playlist. So, and the most favorite song there is Beneath the Cross of Jesus. Obviously, the Christian community in Brazil loves my arrangement of Beneath the Cross of Jesus. And it gets played thousands of times.
Millions.
And millions, yeah, exactly. So it's a big world right now, but it's also a very small world. Here you and I are, I don't know how many thousand miles apart we are, but you might as well be just in the room next door to me.
That's true.
Amazing.
True. No, and what you said is important for anybody starting a business. Your business can actually reach anybody anywhere, and there are people looking for whatever you may have everywhere, and they're searching. And if they find you, they come back and want more.
Exactly. That's exactly. It's a very simple but not easy to accomplish principle.
No. Well, it's back to the shoe leather, right? Nothing is easy. And we do have to, but to that point, we need to involve ourselves. It's not something that you can outsource to somebody. To get the gut feeling, the feeling of where you're going with what you want to do, you have to feel that, I think.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Very good. Dave, I want to thank you for being here, sharing your time, your experience, continued success in the world here in Brazil, and much appreciated for all of the ideas you're giving to our listeners.
Well, I want to thank you and all the listeners to my music in Brazil. I appreciate every one of them.
And listen and relax, right?
That's right. Just listen and relax.
Very good. I want to thank you again and thank our audience for listening. To find more information about Dave Combs, and that's Dave, D-A-V-E. The last name is C-O-M-B-S. C-O-M-B-S. Find him on LinkedIn and his site, which is combsmusic.com. That's C-O-M-B-S-M-U-S-I-C.com. Right, Dave?
That is correct. And it's very simple. When you get to my website, you'll see my new book on the left and my CD of Rachel's song on the right, and links to go get them on Amazon or go to my website.
Very good. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information on the website, focusmi.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.